Hey everyone. So you may be wondering why there are a bunch of dots on my screen. And you may be thinking to yourself, oh man, I hope Mr. Head teaches me how to put a bunch of dots on my screen. Well, you've come to the right place, my friend. Let's get started. So I'm going to show you how to put all the dots on your screen around the end of the video. But for now, I'm just going to teach you how to make this cool uh, shape thing. It's not actually 3D. I'm going to show it from the side here. Okay, so it's not actually 3D. But I'm going to show you how to make this shape without uh, doing any measurements or anything. And we're going to be doing it with grid and snap. Okay, so if you look on your CAD skills list, grid and snap is one of those skills. And so we are working with grid and snap today. All right, so do you remember where the toggle switch bar is? Where are your toggle switches? All right, hopefully you got it. It's down here at the bottom where you have your blue and black buttons. So if it's blue, that means it's turned on. Okay, so we have our O snap turned on, you can turn it off. So here are our toggle switches. All right, so you're gonna learn about another one of these toggle switches, and it is grid and snap. They're over here on the far left. So grid looks like a grid. Look, it says grid mode when I hover over it. And then snap. So we have grid and snap. So I'm gonna turn off the grid. I'm gonna click it. Oh, look at there, the grid is gone. It's just kind of a blank. Looks really clean. It's just all gray. And then I'm going to turn it back on. There's my grid again. It's just like graph paper. Okay, so you can turn this off and on. Just go ahead and play with that on your CAD software. And then we have the snap settings. So it's the one with the 9 little dots there. So I'm going to turn on snap, or I turned it off just now. All right, I'm going to turn it back on. Nothing changed, but this is something that does change. So I'm going to make a line, so L-I-N-E. And here's the cool thing about Snap. My cursor only snaps to every, I don't know how to say it, every intersection of the graph paper. So every little corner of the graph paper, that's what my cursor is now going to snap to. So that's how I was able to make this really easily. So go ahead and on your screen, I'm going to click escape. Okay, on your screen, make sure that your snap is turned on. Okay, turn it on, make a line, type L, enter, and then go ahead and make this shape. So the way I do it is I go over 2. So to the left 2, up 2, right 2. Okay, and you can just follow the way I do this. Every time I go 2. All right. All right, I'm going to click escape, L, enter, and then just go up 1, right 1, click, click. Escape, line, enter, and there you go. So you should be able to make that pretty easily. Go ahead and work on that. Okay, once you have finished that, I would like to just show you a few of the more advanced settings options. But for right now, you've learned grid and snap. Remember, grid is the little graph paper icon. I'm going to turn it off. And snap is the little dots right next to it. Okay, I turned it off. So now when I turn it off, I'm in normal mode. So my cursor goes everywhere, and I cannot just make that as easily as I did before. As you can see, my it's not perfect like it was before. Okay. Although it is pretty darn good, I'm not gonna lie. All right, there you go. Anyway, okay, so this is normal mode when my when my snap is not turned on. So go ahead and make sure your snap is turned on when you do this little assignment. So there's grid and snap, my friends. Now I'm going to show you some of the more advanced options here. So once you are done making your shape here, I'd like for you to hover over grid and snap, and I'd like for you to right click it, or remember on your computer you need to hold Control click, and then you want to click grid settings. And then your menu pops up. It says snap and grid. Okay, I'm going to click X. I'm going to do the other one. So I just did my grid right click. I'm going to do snap right click, snap settings. It's the exact same thing. So whichever one you do, it's going to do the exact same thing. So you can do grid settings or snap settings. It's going to bring you to the same page. All right. If you want to have all those dots on your screen, go to grid style. So we're going to change the style of the grid, and we're going to do 2D model space. I'm going to click OK, and it did nothing, and you know why? Because my graph is turned off. So I'm going to turn my graph back on, and here we have the dots. Okay, I'm going to go back to my settings, grid settings. Okay, I'm going to turn off 2D model space. I'm going to click block editor mode. Okay, so now we're back to normal grid settings. I'm going to see what sheet layout does. I'm not even sure at this moment. Okay, it's the exact same thing, so I'm not even sure. So if I turn them all on, well, anyway, so usually on the normal mode, your 2D model space is turned off, but if you want all the dots, then you want to turn it on. So I'm going to go back to normal mode. I'm going to turn it off. Also, you can change let's see, the grid spacing. So how big, how far apart are the dots from each other? So I'm going to turn it back on real quick. I'm going to type in 1. Okay, so the spaces between the dots are 1 inch to the right and 1 inch up. You can see that the dots are further apart now. So I'm going to just make a line just to show you. I'm going to go over one dot. Okay, as you can see, it's 1 dot. I'm going to type DIM and click. And as you can see, the line from 1 dot to the next is, in fact, 1 inch. So I just changed those settings. I'm going to change another setting here. So right-click, grid settings. All right, I'm going to change it to 2, which is kind of big. All right, wow. Okay, now the dots are 2 inches apart. I'm going to DIM. Here we go, 2. So you can change how far apart these dots get. I'm going to do something. I'm going to put it back to what it normally was. So the normal settings are 0.5. And that's, so that means every ½ inch there's another dot, okay? So that's what your settings should already be on. But it doesn't have to be. It's really up to you. I'm going to go back to regular graph mode, and yeah, there we go. So here's the graph paper. We can see that every intersection is ½ an inch. Okay, snap settings. I'm going to change it to 2 inches. Every intersection is every 2 inches. Okay, as you can see, these lines are much further apart. So I'm going to make a line. one line to the next. There you go. Well, I guess I didn't have to draw that because I already have one here. So my line goes from one intersection to the next. That's 2 inches. They're 2 inches apart. So you can have your regular graph paper, or you can have the dots, and you can change the spacing between them. Okay, last but not least, on the snap settings, you can change your snap spacing. Okay, so right now, okay, so before we were working with the grid spacing, okay, that's how far apart the dots and the intersections are. But now we're gonna change the snap spacing, okay? So what is the snap spacing? All right, I'll show you, all right? I'm gonna make a line, enter. Snap is the fact. Okay, look, my snaps are turned on, okay? So that's why my cursor is jumping from one thing to the next. Well, how far is it jumping? It's jumping half an inch, okay? Remember, let's go right here. This is 2 inches, so half an inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches, okay? So you can see that my cursor is jumping every half inch. Well, I just want to make it simple. I'm going to make it jump every 1 whole inch. Okay, so I'm going to go to my grid settings. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to type in 1, enter. And as you can see, the jumping is going much further now. Okay, so instead of every half inch, it's going 1 inch. Okay, I'm going to zoom in on my 1 inch line. It just jumps right over. So now my cursor is jumping every 1 whole inch. I can make it super big if I want. I'm gonna have it jump 20 inches. By the way, you probably noticed this already. If I change the X spacing, the Y spacing changes as well. And that's because this is turned on equal X and Y spacing. And yeah, you just want to leave that on. Why would you want them to be different? That would hardly ever make sense. But anyway, so just as soon as I click outside the box, it updates Y spacing to 20 as well. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to click OK. Now we can see that my cursor is jumping really far, 20 inches, every 20 inches. So would you ever really want that? Probably not, but I just wanted to show you that you could do it. And that's it for this video. So the main part of this video is that you can turn on and off your snap mode, and you can turn on and off the graph paper in the background. That was the most important part, and then the advanced part was right-click, grid settings. You can change the spacing of your snaps, and you can change the spacing of your grid. All right, thank you very much.